All right, so thank you guys for being here. My name's Zack Miller. I lived in the area for about 6 years, and probably 2 years ago I said I was going to move to any other city in the world, but decided to stay here, and am passionately trying to build the startup community here in our region. About 3 years ago, put together an event called Start Norfolk, and that turned into Hatch. And Start Norfolk has grown about 400% in about 16 months. Hopefully you guys have heard of it. We're going to do our 4th edition coming up in September. So today I'm going to be talking about startup marketing from the ground floor up, which basically means with a lot of startups, we don't have money. So what can we do on the super cheap to get a lot in front of a lot of faces? So I've seen a lot of really good marketing initiatives for very minimal amounts of money, get in front of hundreds of thousands of people. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. If you guys are on Twitter, I created a hashtag startup marketing. It only had 3 tweets as of this morning, so I'm looking forward to you guys doing it. There's some of my information, happy to talk afterwards. And that is Hatch, which is located in downtown Norfolk. So these are some of the companies I've started and initiatives. Like I said, Start Norfolk and Hatch. We also do a once a month meetup of startups that are presenting to different angel investors and potential users in the community. About a month and a half ago, I launched a program called The Pitch. Some of you may have heard of an iPad application called AirTalk, which is an autism communication tool for children with autism to teach them how to speak and learn different words. We were featured in Inc. magazine for that. Also created Silicon Inker News with Keith Prevett. And we'll talk about one of my biggest failures in life, which is trying to put on a big conference that didn't work, called Drop Anchor. So putting this together today, I really didn't know what to talk about. And I went back and watched some of my favorite entrepreneurs' presentations. And one locally actually was Drew and who created a company called Grow Interactive. And he said that he does a top 10 for his presentation so that if his presentation is horrible, at least you know where you are on the list. And so we're gonna do 10 today, and we'll start with that. And if we get to 5 and you guys don't like it, sure. I've never been asked to do that. All right, so we're gonna do 10 of them, and we'll start with this. So before you even launch a product, you have to spend 0 money. About 2 weeks before Start Norfolk, a individual who has a bicycle was looking at how he could deliver certain goods or food to other businesses and individuals in downtown. And he partnered with an organization called Order Up and built the infrastructure around this company so that they could deliver food that typically isn't delivered. So Subway or a Mexican restaurant, things like that. And if you've ever seen the Jimmy John's guys on bikes, they're going in and out, but most restaurants don't have that. So what Carrie Norfolk did at Start Norfolk, so they pitched, they became a finalist. Their idea was we can deliver anything that we can deliver on a bike. And what they did, what Ian Taylor did, was he went around to all the different groups, similar to this, and took printed out piece of paper that basically said this information and said, if you need anything or you've got anything at home, just text me and I'll deliver it. So over that weekend, he did $250 worth of orders and charged $5 an order. So it validated his idea by doing very simple marketing. I think it was Saturday night, he decided that he thought he could engage with college students. So he went and gave passed this article out at a college bar to about 50 or 60 people. I think Keith was there. And passed this out to a bunch of people and saying, when you're drunk tonight, we'll deliver you Taco Bell. And all they do is get on a bike and then they do it. What he realized was that the late night college student was not the market that he wanted to deliver to, so he axed this pretty quickly, even though it did work effectively. So he spent whatever it cost to print out a piece of paper in marketing and was able to gain significant traction very, very quickly. So one of the reasons why this whole thing started was I was at a local event and I realized that it wasn't for me or the company that I was working with, and that the type of events that I wanted to go to were ones that I wasn't selling maybe office furniture or real estate to. And I knew that there was like-minded individuals like myself that wanted to get together and learn, but there was no place to have an event. So number 9 is what I would say is organize your own events, host your own events. They're very cheap. If you have an office or you have a library or you have a friend that's in business that has an office, it's very, very easy to host an event. So this is one of the events that we do every month. It costs us the price of whatever beer is. So for the first 3 or 4 events, we paid for it ourselves, about 30, 40 bucks. And now we have sponsors that bring in the booze. So you actually are a host, you host an event, you decide what the topics are. In this event, what we do is individual or certain startup companies get to pitch their companies to a crowd of people, potentially investors and other potential customers in the room. So it's super cheap to do that, hosting your own events. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't have to have food. You can, but it can be super cheap and you can do it very effectively. We've also done coffee events where people have to pay for their own stuff and we just show up at a coffee shop. So this is how Start Norfolk has grown. After we did a couple of those smaller events, we realized that we could host a larger event to bring people together. So the top left was at the ODU Business Gateway about 16 months or so ago. We had about 100, 150 people show up, 37 different business ideas. And the one to the right is 6 months later, where we grew to about 300 people to attend Start Norfolk, which is a Build a Company weekend competition. And then the third one on below, we actually had to use the panoramic. There were so many people there. And that was about a month ago, and we had about 400 people show up. So from these 3 events alone, we've seen 170 different business ideas pitched, and about 30 of them or so each round are still around to this day. Not all of them obviously are Facebook, but some of them are doing a lot better than others. So, yeah, drink to this one. So I went to a conference that's actually being held right now in Omaha this time last year, and it's called Big Omaha, and it's an amazing conference on entrepreneurship and innovation. And while I was there, I realized that because we had grown Start Norfolk to what it was, we thought that we could throw together a big conference where we put in 600 people in a super big venue and charge them $300 to $500 to attend. All and anyone that's ever tried putting on a conference, don't ever make assumptions. And I think that's the key with marketing and the key with any startups is that whenever you make assumptions, typically they're going to be BS. And what you need to do is try and test that as quickly as possible. And I think the biggest reason why Drop Anchor failed, even though we had 15 world-class speakers from all across the world that were going to come to Norfolk, because we didn't market it, because we didn't know that people wanted it or not, because we were charging too much money, we ultimately ended up canceling it. And that was a very hard decision, but it was the best one. And I think embracing failure is something that this region doesn't do, and it's something that we definitely embrace. We learned a lot from trying to put this together. And at the end of the day, the hardest call was telling all the speakers that we weren't going to be able to do it, and they actually embraced it a lot more than we thought. Some of them still actually came in that week, and we just hung out with them instead. But embrace failure. It's something that you'd be surprised by telling the truth to people. Some people are like, oh, what are you going to make up and say? And I just said, look, we made too many assumptions. I got really busy, and I thought I could do something that had grown like the other events that I put on. And I didn't put the same amount of effort into Drop Anchor as I did into Start Norfolk. And ultimately, that's why only 30 people signed up. So when we try to get 600 people and 30 people signed up, those margins are really bad. All right, so when you guys get home, these slides will be on SlideShare. I'll post them out and put them on the Facebook and the Twitter feed. This is someone who probably has mastered marketing. His name is Noah Kagan. Right now, he currently owns a company called AppSumo, which is a Groupon for developers and engineers. Noah Kagan was number 30 at Facebook, number 3 or 4 at Mint.com, and he knows marketing like anyone else. And I strongly suggest you guys look at his YouTube channel and watch a lot of his videos. A couple websites to check out on him are dork.com. He has all this free content that you can find out, and one of them that I wanted to share today was about actually talking with your clients. And what it says is there's 3 things. You need to listen, relate, and then transition that. And that can be in a peer-to-peer, person-to-person conversation, or it could be in something that you're actually posting content on your physical website, testimonial, something like that. So like I said, he's super awesome, and he uses this one example. He's interviewing one of his friends who has an online workout site, and what he says is most people they don't want to be in shape. They don't want to work out. What they want to do is they want to look hot. They want to look sexy. And those are the type of words that people want to see and read about. And a lot of times we forget about the words that we try and get too jargony and say these big words instead of just saying what people want to feel. So listen to them at first and relate that. So it says, so if you're talking about a specific topic, where would you like to be with that? Well, I tried P90X and it didn't work because X. X was probably because P90X is too hard. Thanks, Lori. Hey, I've done it before. Thanks. So then relate that. So why didn't it work? So it didn't work because I didn't have anybody doing it. I had someone pushing it. And then transition that into, okay, well, we have a product that actually can help you with that because we have a 10-step process that will do this for you. So listen, relate, transition. Really amazing stuff by Noah Kagan. You guys should check him out. If you have any questions throughout the process, let me know. So I was talking to someone earlier today who said that websites are way too difficult. In this day and age, they're not. And if you have a new idea, it's really, really simple to get to find out if people are actually going to use your product or service. This is a simple landing page that can be produced for about $12 in an hour worth of time, if that. There's websites like LaunchRock or MailChimp, and all they do is you put in a picture and simple text, and then you ask to collect people's email, and then you distribute that out to the web and see who signs up, so that before you actually build something, you find out if there's going to be any users or not. I've seen this used many, many, many times, and so there's certain reasons that companies will fail. Some people will get 5 people to sign up for this and then continue it. Some people will then take that and say, okay, well maybe I'm writing the text wrong down there, or maybe I don't understand what these people are trying to do, and they tweak it and they get more users. This is a way to validate your idea. Super, super simple and super on the cheap. That is about $12 and an hour of a beginner web developer. So anyone can do that. All you have to do is a certain website like launchrock.com. And you would put in some text, ask to collect an individual's email, and then you put up a picture if you want. So I'll probably get some flack for this one. But traditional advertising and marketing is a waste of money. And I think that most people who, if there's any print or TV people in the room, I apologize for saying this. We have never spent any significant amount of money on marketing or advertising. The most expensive thing we've ever done is pay for the beer at an event. And we've been able to grow about 400 or 500% in 16 months. The reason I say this is because when you're looking for a specific client or customer, they're not looking for you in that traditional medium. They're looking for you in a place, so Inc. magazine. So if you were going to advertise in that, you should be advertising towards entrepreneurs or innovators. And your traditional media of TV, if you're trying to get out the next Foursquare or next Facebook, advertising on a local TV station that you have that application is not catering towards your immediate core that you're looking for. So what you can do though is find out who the editors and the writers are at those publications and pitch them your idea and then have people read about you. So what's good about that is when you have a story done about you or you have a story written about you, people are going to look at that a lot longer. So if this is the 2 pages, right? Let's say that one page is my story and this page is my advertisement. People are going to read this story and people are going to go like this to that. So you're not getting any eyeballs on that. So you have a lot better chance to have people actually read your information than you would if you were to advertise on that. So it definitely works, but it takes a lot of time, and you have to craft specific for TV and newspaper. I happen to have been a previous journalist, so I was pretty good at doing that, but they're looking for a hook. They're looking for a tease. And the reason why you see a lot of TV news start with violence is because people like to see that. They get the hook. They want to see, oh, what happened in this street? And the reason they don't do a lot of business stuff is because there's no hook there. So what you have to do when you pitch your business idea or you pitch what you're doing, there has to be a hook there. And if there's not, they most likely are just going to throw you to the delete folder in the email. Currently, we've probably had 15 to 20 articles in the last year or so written about the stuff that we're doing. And to be honest, we probably send them 200 different story ideas over that period. So it's not a one and done. It took about 8 months for us to get our first story written about some of the stuff that we were doing, and we just constantly pushing stuff to them. Hey, we're putting on this event. Hey, we have this new company here. We have this new initiative going on here. You have to constantly be feeding them information, and you just have to get lucky. And at the end of the day, you really have to get lucky to get a story written about you or have a TV piece written about you. TV has been very difficult for us to get on. So I think we've had 1.5 stories done on Start Norfolk or so, and that's only after we tweeted the TV station about 1,600 times in 30 minutes. And then they left immediately when they got there because there was a shooting. You know, starting businesses or shooting. I think the hook's for the businesses. So one thing that we've seen worked really well is guest blogging. So you'd be surprised that on Entrepreneur magazine, or not, Entrepreneur.com, Inc. magazine, TechCrunch, several specific technology-related sites and publications, they actually have a lot of outside writers for them who constantly are getting their work featured in these publications. So I have a good friend named Danny Boyce. He is a technology guy for a company called Speak, which is a Skype competitor. And he basically writes up all these articles and then goes down, he gets on LinkedIn, and he looks for the publishers and the editors at these publications. And he writes them a note and says, would love to write this article on X. So it's not an article on his company, it's an article on him becoming an expert on a specific topic. So he writes an article for that publication, and he has about list of 20 or 30 of these publications, and he emails them one by one and says, are you interested in doing a story on this? And they say yes or no. If they say no, he goes down the line. If they say yes, he sends to them the article that he's written. So he would talk about how mass communication is working in the digital age. So he's been able to get about 17, I think, 17 or so different publications of his expertise in building products into these publications, which then at the footer you basically say Danny Boyce is the CTO of Speak, which does this, and that's where you get your marketing piece out of it. But you are now becoming an expert, or you are now an expert in that field. And what's really interesting about the articles that have been written about him and his company is that now other publications are reaching out to him saying, oh, I would love for you to do this story on this, or we'd love for you to be a panelist at this conference or so. So guest blogging, whenever you can, be prepared to have that article already written when you send that cold email to people. How many of you guys cold email a lot? What's your, how well does it go? Not well? So what I've seen, and guest blogging is a great example of this. You guys spend about 30 minutes researching the person that you're emailing to, and what we've seen do best is have an interesting subject line, be very short, sweet and to the point, maybe 3 paragraphs maximum. So in the first paragraph it's, hey, I'm writing you about this, would love this opportunity. Then find out something specific about that company. So in my world, if I was emailing an investor, I'd say, oh, I love what you just invested in with this. I've been using that product and it's changing my world. And then have a specific ask at the end of that email saying, I'd love to talk to you for 5 minutes about this on this day at this time, and talking about this. Talking about how I could write for your publication. And it seems crazy, but people respect and will respond to personalized emails. And I think a lot of us, myself included, have sent out many a spam email to mass blast because it's super easy to do. And we wonder why we don't get the traction that we want on that. But to spend a little bit more time on cold emails, and even kind of warm emails, working in kind of the personal aspect can really get what you want, your ROI, a lot sooner. So one of the companies we invested in is GM Engineering Services. They're the only hardware company that we've ever invested in. Typically we invest in software companies. And what they do is, if you have a fancy car and you put it in reverse and you got that camera to make sure you're not going to hit the kid on the tricycle behind you, they do that on our waterways and our construction sites with cameras. So most of you probably don't know this, but tugboat operators actually, majority of the time, are driving blind. So they're driving down our waterways like this, and there's 2,500 different tugboats in our country, and them get in an accident of some sort. A very dangerous job, and a couple of people a year die from it, which is obviously not something that's good. The insurance premiums per tugboat are about $50K a year, so a lot of money into that. What Chris has done is he's built his site with organic SEO. He didn't hire an outside firm to do this. Basically anything and everything that he can post, he posts it. So he did a video interview with an online or a local company, and instead of just reposting that link, he actually took the link and embedded it into his site, and then took some inbound links and put them at the top. I think he has about 4,000 pages on his site right now. It takes time, but his site has helped him a lot of leads in different places. So he's worked on this for 6 months. And when we first invested in them, they had a couple sales, and now they've been bought internationally, and majority of those have actually been random Google searches that they have found. So it works. It takes a lot of time, but it definitely works to have organic SEO. There's no one better to write about your company or the people that are. And it's easy to outsource that. It's easy to outsource this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're not seeing the results that you want, you got to do it yourself. So that's one example of a good page for them. So this is one of my favorite marketing opportunities. There's an individual named Matt Smith down from Atlanta. At the time, I think he was about 16 or 17, he had started his company. And he was trying to figure out how he could get people to sign up for his website. And he had no idea what to do. So he and his friends were going to a local concert one Friday night, and it was really, really hot. And what they decided to do was to buy everyone, or to buy a couple boxes full of these, what do they call these things? Ices, freeze ice, whatever. Popsicles, we'll call them popsicles. So he buys 100, 200 of these things, and he says he's walking around this concert venue. It's outside, it's like a festival. And for anyone that wanted one, all they had to do was give him their email. So he would go around and have icy pops, and he'd say, you want this? Give me your email. And then I think he also had like a sticker as a leaf behind as well with him. But he was able to capture like 300 or 400 different emails from just passing this out. So think about a hot day at an amusement park, and you could hand out water. Amusement park's probably a bad example, but if you were at a place where you could get in and give out stuff to have people give you something in return, this is a great example. So at the time, this company is called Go Rank 'em. What they do is they take your social media analytics and pull it in to see who's really following you. So then when Justin Bieber is looking to advertise, he knows exactly who to go after. So I think they have something like 3 million hits a month to their site now. And he's only 20 years old, and he's super brilliant. And the popsicle thing was one of the first things they ever did to really get some early traction. We're looking at $50 max to get a couple hundred emails. You can't beat that. So I think you guys are seeing a trend that you don't have to spend a lot of money. You have to get creative to get people involved, but at the end of the day, you can get some really solid traction and some really good, innovative, creative marketing. So one of the sites that I recently put together is called The Pitch. And what The Pitch is, it's a platform that allows those who have business ideas to get feedback before they actually build their product. And we did a lot of these things to start. We did the Launch Rock piece. We had probably about 50 or 60 emails that signed up first. But what we saw that worked the best is when we actually just did events. So we did this at Start Norfolk. Is there anything bad on that list? I didn't check it before. I hope not. That's not bad. So we did a lot of the stuff that I've shown you guys earlier. And what we saw is that our assumption was that individuals will go to the site and use it to pitch their ideas. But what our data is actually showing is that it works best at events, when we can get in front of as many people as possible and give them a coupon code. Instead of spending the $10 to pitch their idea, we give them a coupon code when you have the actual event pay for that. It's more, so we thought it was going to be a B2C effort, but it's more of a B2B play. And then also, there's our biggest hike in traffic. We had about 4,000 hits in one day. There's like a database called Hacker News, which is a technology forum for developers. And we were able to trend on that and get 4,000 hits to the website that day. So what's cool about that is if you're in a specific industry, you probably have forums too. And to be able to get your data or your information featured on one of those sites, you can get a lot of hits from it. So I believe and it was, I only linked something like core, I'm trying to think of what I posted it as. Core, build, deliver, something like that. And we got all this traffic to it, a couple hundred signups from it. So find forums that are in your specific niche and post to there quite often. I posted probably 5 or 6 things before I got any hits to it, and then on the 6th try, it obviously escalated up, and then I tried the 7th and 8th time, and we're back down to no hits. So it's definitely a numbers game. You got to keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. If it doesn't work the first time, try harder, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then the last thing, this is one that, so that cost me 0 money except for time to write an article. So as you're seeing, all these things are very, very cheap on the money. So this is one that actually does cost money. So sponsoring events, I think it's important to sponsor events, but when you're going to sponsor events, do it for the right reasons. Don't do it just for the exposure, because you might not get it. You might not be getting the exposure that you actually want to have it. So this is a local software company called Xtuple. They're a Intuit, QuickBooks kind of competitor. In 2012 alone, they grew 100% from 17 to 35 employees. And they went to, or they sponsored Start Norfolk not not to get people to use their software, but actually to find talent. And there's so many times that people think only the ROI from people to sign up for their product or their service, that there's actually some other things that you can get out of it instead of just getting that immediate ROI. So they gave me $3,000 to pay for beer, and they had their logo on everyone's beer glass. And that's the CEO right there, Ned Lilly. And from Start Norfolk alone, they hired 4 people for $3,000. And if they were to go through Monster or any kind of headhunter, they were going to spend $25,000 to $50,000. So the message with this one is, it's okay to spend money sometimes, but know that you're not always just going to get that immediate ROI, and there's some other things that can really help you out a lot as well. So Xtuple is now, in the startup world here, one of the best known companies in our area. They're super loved, and a lot of it has to do with them buying something that people wanted, which was beer. I'm just saying. So that's it. They weren't in really any kind of order, but I thought the beer one would be a good one to have the last one. Happy to answer any questions. Like I said, from this, the majority of the money that we've probably never spent more than $500 18 months on anything total. So you have to have a huge marketing budget to do a lot, to get in front of a lot of people and to really get some significant traction. So happy to hear more of your stories and answer any questions.
Zack, you're talking about using events as a way to promote. How do you get the word out about the event?
So the first event we had, it was March of 2011, maybe 2011. And I sent an email to about 45 people that I thought were those individuals that I want. So other entrepreneurs in this region. I said, look, here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna have an event in my office. I'm gonna buy everyone beer, and I just wanna talk. Stupid, simple like that. And 15 people showed up, and I had to kick them out 3 hours later. And you'd be surprised at how much things don't have to be complex. Hey, I want you guys to come to my office. I'm not going to sell you anything. I never sell any of my companies. I always, not in a broad event. And I was just honest. I said, I'm an entrepreneur and I want to be around other entrepreneurs, and I'd love to have a night out with you guys in my office. 15 people showed up. That list has grown to 2,500 people now in 16, 17 months. So I think being honest, and you do have to know your initial who you want to reach out to, but I guarantee if you were to email the 60 people in this room and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing, 10% of them would show, and then 10% of them would tell their friends. And if your event was something that they wanted to continue to go to, they would tell their friends, and that word of mouth marketing would continue. And that's exactly what we did to start. It was actually very exclusive for the first year. We never opened it up to the public. It was strictly an email. Never had a Facebook page, never had a tweet about it. It was strictly email. And it grew to about 60 people on a regular basis showing up. And then we had our first Start Norfolk. then we saw that we should be inclusive and allow the general public to get in as well. And that's where it grew fairly large. Cool. Yep.
Do you take an ownership position with the companies that you bring up?
So Start Norfolk, no. Any company that's taking a hatch, we do. We invest in them, so we do take an ownership. But that's only because we invest in them. So, any other questions? Lori?
I'll be good.
Good. Keith? No. So Paul Chin has been at 3 Start Norfolks. His company last time was a finalist. It was a restaurant rewards game. He didn't win, but he was actually a photographer at the event, and I had a tendency to pull people out of the crowd and make them do things that they don't want to do. He pitched, became a finalist, and ended up getting 4 restaurants that weekend involved, and I think about 30 different users signed up. Well, he's not moving forward with it, but for no money, he was able to do a lot. Rachel?
The finalists and also the winners of Start Norfolk, what do you think sets them apart from the rest of the crowd and makes them a winner?
So I'm never a judge because I hate judging. It's very difficult to tell some of your friends that their idea sucks. I think you can find people really quickly if they actually know what they're doing and can progress on their idea. So the last company that actually won, it's a YouTube analytics tracker that can tell if people are stealing a video and then putting it on their page. And it was Sunday morning, and one of the founders of the company was telling me, oh, I can't call these people. It's Sunday. I said, well, you're not going to win. So what I told him, I said, the only way you're going to win this is if you actually tell me that you have a user for this. So he personally was, he was basically, from our impression, he was building this product for himself. Entrepreneurs get into that where they never find. I told him was, hey, you need to call up some of these people in this industry and see if there's really a need for it. So he did a quick little bit of research. He spent 15 minutes finding one company's using the technology that they built, finding out that they were losing about $50,000 every 15 minutes. And he called up some companies and said, would you use this? And I think seeing people that actually going to continue on with it are the people that will ultimately win. The people that can show significant traction in 48 hours are the people that you know are going to win. And it's of my opinion that at something like a Start Norfolk, you can get significant traction very, very quickly. And with the companies that we invest in Hatch, we know who the winners are going to be and the really successful companies are within a month. Very, very quickly. Because hustle is a very important thing, and I know it seems crazy, but you can figure out who's going to be successful very, very quickly.
How many startups and companies do you have come in and out of Hatch? Like, you say there's a 4-month
Yeah.
incubator.
So we just finished our second class, and we've taken 9 total companies. We invested about 15 grand into each of them. And so one of the overarching goals was to always retain the talent that we have here, but then also to attract talent from outside of the region to move here. So we'll probably take 8 to 10 companies this summer, starting July 1st. 3 of which will probably be from outside the region, as far away as Denver. So we're going to move those companies here, and we'll invest about 20 grand into each of those companies. Lori?
That's good. I'm going to say something nice about you. So this is a marketing group, at least most of us. You're an entrepreneur, you're representing a marketing, you do some great things with marketing, but you're also a master of sales. And I think that is one of the things that sets you apart is you're not afraid to talk to people, you're not afraid to ask for money, a lot of it. You're not afraid of no, you don't take things, or it doesn't seem like you take things personally. So a lot of times, there's sales, there's marketing, and there's business development, and they all feed into each other for a successful venture. Mm-hmm. But what would you say to marketers who and I'm not one of these marketers, but who really don't want to ask them, and who don't want to make the cold calls, who don't want to put themselves out there, would rather do the schmoozy marketing and social media and PR side of things.
Oh, Laura, question. So I don't think you have to, so I think we presented a lot of things that were very content heavy, not necessarily in-person heavy. And I think that there's a lot of things that you can do that you would do in front of someone that you could do actually online as well. And if you're using Facebook, don't say the same thing on Facebook that you are on Twitter, but make sure you're getting your point across in a very short period of words. I am a very outgoing person, so I do all those things. But I do believe that there's several very successful companies, Facebook included, that their their front leader is not a very outgoing person. So you have to kind of mold and massage the stuff that that you would potentially do in front of someone, but in a more online way. So the Noah Kagan stuff is a great example where you're listening to your customers. So potentially someone's going to email you. So then ask the right questions back to them, and then don't immediately sell them that piece. I think a lot of people online are looking for information and are not always necessarily immediately looking for that sale. And I think if we sell it to them too quickly, we lose them. So, I think elevator speeches are important. Same thing online. But if you pitch that person immediately, hey, I do this, give me money, it's probably not going to work. The relationships are the most important things. And whether it's offline or online, you can have very successful businesses that way. Thanks, Lori. Anything else? Cool. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you.
We're going to deliver you your speaker gift.
Oh, cool.
Well, thank you. I have a few. Our year is coming up to a wrap. We take the summer off. We have one last luncheon on June 20th. I know it's after kids get out of school and stuff, but we're working on something really exciting now, so stay tuned to the luncheon on June 20th. We also are hosting a social on June 13th, and the location is also in the works. It's going to be kind of our end of the year bash, so keep an eye out for that email as well. There'll be a survey that goes out today to everybody that attended or signed up with your email address. If you could just take 5 minutes and give us some good critical feedback, maybe possibly what you want to hear in the future at our luncheons, great marketing information. We also, so I much appreciate that if you just take a few minutes. It's very short survey. Leave your name tags at the table. We do recycle these and reuse them for next time. And stay around and chit chat and network more if you'd like to, or enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.